Hey, BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf. I'm your host, Peg. Thanks for joining me this day, which is Sunday. As you can see, I'm wearing my gear, supporting my number 9 quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Check that out. Only because he was the long-suffering quarterback of the Detroit Lions, my team forever. So I would love to see this guy make it to a Super Bowl. I really would. But anyway, so that game's coming up later. Um, I have so many videos I need to make because I've had a lot of books come in at the History Shelf. I bought a lot of books, and you know what? A lot of these were from around Christmas time. I haven't had a chance to show you. And I haven't shelved them because we are in the process of getting ready to sell the townhome. And this is why it's been a week since my last video or more. We were showing it, we had 10 to 15 showings per day. And we basically weren't even living here. I mean, we were at night, but we had to take our laptops, and I had to work from my sister's house. Thanks, sis. Thanks for letting us hang out while people were trudging through our townhome. Good news is we are under contract. So we're closing later in next month, February, at the end of February. And so we'll be moving. So next stage is just I need to start packing these books up. So Martine's going to be helping me, and we're going to be categorizing the boxes and kind of figuring out which books are going into what room. So it's a lot of fun trying to figure out how I'm going to make the new library at the new house. I think a lot of them are going to have to go in. Let's face it, I have thousands of books. They're not all going to fit into the new home. So the ones I really want to keep will be in our 2-car garage. And then the rest I'm really going to have to let go. I'm going to have to donate them to libraries, shelters, whatever. Some of them I'll take to Second and Charles and get credit for. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of books. So thanks for all your well wishes, everybody who kind of chimed in and sent good thoughts our way for selling the condo. And onwards and upwards. So this video, as I said, I'm going to be making a lot of videos. I'm going to record as many as I can today and kind of release them throughout the beginning of the week. These are some books that I went shopping for. Basically, this is a book shopping trip that I did back in December when Amazon was having a 3-for-2 sale. And I actually dropped some money on some hardcover history that I really wanted, along with some paperback mysteries that I wanted to explore. This new series that I reviewed a book which turned out to be a prequel for a series that has been long running by William Kent Kruger. And I fell in love with the prequel, and I'm like, I love these characters. I love this rich history. It's set in Minnesota and has like Native American just history, along with people living in this community where there's a reservation. And anyway, I was like, I want to go back and now and start reading the series from the beginning. Now that I've read the prequel, which didn't really spoil anything for me, so I went and bought a bunch of mysteries too, and a couple of other things that I picked up along the way. So, without further ado, now that I've given you the update on our situation, let's get into it. Okay, so. Let's start with the history, okay? Because I know that's what this is all about here at the History Shelf. We'll start with the history, and then we'll move into fiction, literature, stuff like that. Okay, and one of these I bought used at Amazon, but they sent it in the shipment with the new stuff. I bought it used. It was marked down because it was slightly banged up, but I don't care. It kind of completes a set that I have. So let's start with the used one. In one of my other book haul videos, I'm trying to remember which one. I think it might have been the book haul I did where I bought some books from christianbook.com and I introduced you all to, or some of you, I'm sure some of you knew the author or know the author, Alfred Edersheim. And he had, oh, they're in the other room. I would show you again, but I showed you books by him, like Bible history in the Old Testament, or Jesus in the New Testament, Jesus and his times. So it's more of a like looking at the times and kind of analyzing the culture at the time of Jesus. And so I looked up Alfred Edersheim's other works, and I wanted to have this one to complete kind of like the, just the overall approach. And I picked up Bible history, Old Testament, a classic biblical reference to help you understand and apply the history of the Old Testament by Alfred Edersheim. So it's a new updated edition, but as you can see, I got it for super cheap because of this. It's slightly imperfect is what they call it or whatever. And I was like, that's fine. That's really okay. It's definitely, it's not commentary or anything like that. I mean, parts of it are, but he really goes into history, culture, genealogy, the different processes of writing about this culture. Like here in chapter 11, he's going into Genesis, right? The calling of Abram. And he says with Abram, an entirely new period may be said to begin. And then, he kind of outlines things in a way that's more narrative history than, say, theology or hermeneutics or anything like that. So I'm really looking forward to it. It kind of completes the other books that I picked up by him, which were, let's see, it probably should say here. Yeah. Yes, these are the two that I bought previously. The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah, and then I also picked up The Temple, its ministry and services. So that's a nice pick me up there. But that's the only used one I bought. So as part of the 3 for 2, oh, these are big boys. 3 books for the price of 2, right? So the cheapest one was the one that was free. So I was trying to shop very smartly. But this one is a big guy right here. And this completes my trilogy. And the other 2 are already in a box somewhere. We're getting ready for the move. Unfortunately, I kind of wanted to pack these 3 all together. So now I've got to try to find my babies and get them all together once we're in the new house. But this is Ian Toll's Twilight of the Gods, War in the Western Pacific, 1944 to 1945. Final volume of the Pacific War Trilogy. So it's just beautiful, and Amazon had it, at a discount, but it was still pretty, that's at least $20. So this was one of them because I needed it to finish my trilogy. And this is another book I wanted by the author of The Metaphysical Club. This is by Louis Menand. This is The Free World, Art and Thought in the Cold War. So that was my second choice. Also not too expensive. But actually, this might have been the free one. Oh, I didn't read the description for Twilight of the Gods, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the last year in the war. Oh, and that one's by Norton. This book with Louis Menand is from Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. And in case you're not aware, let me just read to you real quick. When the Second World War ended, the United States enjoyed an enormous material advantage over the rest of the world. But it was not yet a fully liberal society or a serious actor in cultural affairs. Over the next 20 years, that would change. Discriminatory barriers would fall, and the United States would move from the periphery to the center of an increasingly international world of art and ideas. The Free World is the story of how this happened. So, lots of name dropping in this description. Louis Menand analyzes the economic, demographic, and technological forces that drove social and cultural change, and he introduces us to the personalities at the center of this transformation. George Kennan and Hans Morgenthau, Hannah Arendt and David Reisman, Lee Krasner, Jackson Pollock, and Clement Greenberg, Lionel Trilling, Allen Ginsberg, and Jack Kerouac, James Baldwin and Martin Luther King Jr., Amiri Baraka and Malcolm X, Betty Friedan, Susan Sontag, and Maria Irene Fourniers, Elvis Presley and Alan Freed, John Cage and Robert Rauschenberg. Okay, there's tons of names here. Simone de... Oh, and then he says, and Menand shows how artists and thinkers in other countries, from Simone de Beauvoir, Claude Lévi-Strauss, and Jacques Derrida, to D.T. Suzuki, John Lennon, and Jean-Luc Godard, exerted a powerful influence on post-war art and thought. It was a time when people cared, a time when painting mattered, movies mattered, and poetry mattered, and when ideas like liberty and authenticity were promoted and transformed. It was an exciting period of creative innovation and intellectual debate, and it gave birth to the United States we know today. Well, I don't know, the United States we know today doesn't seem to be too interested in intellectual debates, but that's just me. You know, anyway, I'm really looking forward to this. This is a far-ranging kind of study on culture, art, ideas. All right, so this next book I'm so excited for. I have had this on my list of books to get forever. And I even went and dropped an Audible credit on it, forgetting that I had ordered this book. And this is put out by Tan Publishers. I've read books by this gentleman before, and I've enjoyed him. A lot of you will laugh, but I love it. This is The Devil and Karl Marx by Paul Kengor. Forward by Michael J. Knowles. But I've been wanting this forever, and the price just never drops at all. It's pretty much $29.95 wherever you go. But I don't know if I got this one for free. I don't think I did. I think it was marked down to $24. So I just said, okay. So excited for this. I've read Marx and Satan by Richard Wurmbrand, who was a prisoner inside of a communist bloc country. He was a minister, I believe, and he wrote that. It's a very slim little tract, slim little volume, but it was pretty powerful stuff. And I think Paul Kengor, I know he's using that as his major source, but he definitely expands on the topic. And for many of you that don't know, you know, and I'll read you the insert here. You know, Marx had his issues, and he was definitely, you know, pretty sympathetic with the devil, sympathy for the devil. Let's talk about that. 2 decades after the publication of the Black Book of Communism, which I also own, nearly everyone is, or at least should be, aware of the immense evil produced by that devilish ideology hatched when Karl Marx penned his Communist Manifesto 2 centuries ago. I know it's going to piss off a lot of the socialist communists out there. It's all right. Far too many people, however, separate Marx the man from the evils wrought by the oppressive ideology and theory that bear his name. That is a grave mistake. Not only did the horrific results of Marxism follow directly from Marx's twisted ideas, but the man himself penned some downright devilish things. Well before Karl Marx was writing about the hell of communism, he was writing about hell. Quote, "Thus heaven I've forfeited, I know it full well," he wrote in a poem in 1837, a decade before his manifesto. "My soul, once true to God, is chosen for hell." That certainly seemed to be the perverse destiny for Marx's ideology, which consigned to death over 100 million souls in the 20th century alone. No other theory in all of history has led to the deaths of so many innocents, and that is a fact. How could the father of lies not be involved? At long last, here in this book by Professor Paul Kengor is a close, careful look at the diabolical side of Karl Marx, a side of a man whose fascination with the devil and his domain would echo into the 20th century and continue to wreak havoc today. It is a tragic portrait of a man and an ideology, a chilling retrospective on an evil that should have never been let out of its pit. Yes, I agree with that. All right, so I have been so excited, and I finally got my hands on this book. So this one is part of I bought it for, 3 for $2. So on the heels of that, then I switched over to, going into some mysteries and stuff. Um, so the series of books, and this is the first one in the series by William Kent Kruger, is Iron Lake. And you can see I've got the 20th anniversary edition. So this is the first in the series of Cork O'Connor, who was a sheriff in a small town in Minnesota. Um, this one doesn't have a... All right, here we go. Begin the journey that started it all in Iron Lake. Part Irish, part Anishinaabe. Okay, part Irish, part Anishinaabe Indian. Cork O'Connor is the former sheriff of Aurora, Minnesota, population 3,752. Once a cop on Chicago's South Side, there's not much that can shock him. But when the town's judge is brutally murdered and a young Eagle Scout is reported missing, Cork takes on this complicated and perplexing case of conspiracy, corruption, and a small town secret that hits painfully close to home. Now, again, I mentioned that, what was it for? I think it was for Book Browse. I read the prequel. That his most recent book was called Lightning Strike. It was fantastic. So I had never, I've talked on this channel that I like my mysteries, and that's part of the fiction that I read, along with historical fiction and a few other things. But that's a genre I really love, and Lightning Strike was just amazing, and it showed Cork O'Connor as a young boy, and his father was the sheriff in the town. And they mix in a lot of like the relations between the white people and then the Native Americans on the reservation. And it talks about, because he is a part Irish, part Anishinaabe, and his father was Irish and he married a part Anishinaabe woman. So I really kind of just was really interested in the family dynamics of Lightning Strike, and I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and buy the first few books in this series while they're still available. Because there's like a lot of them. There might be 16 or 17 books in the series, maybe more. But it's highly blurbed, and I loved William Kent Kruger's writing style, so I decided to take advantage of the 3-for-2. And these are put out now, nice new covers and everything by Atria Books, so I picked up the first one. I forget, the other three... They're all, and I won't read the synopsis of these just because I've got a couple more things I want to show you, and I don't want to get too long. But trying to remember which one is which. Let's go with this one. Just know that all the books here are 1 through 4. So next one I picked up was Boundary Waters. Just a nice. These are just things to just while away the evening or the afternoon. I just love a good mystery. And I love well-written ones. Obviously, they're just with fully realized characters that have something interesting and something different to say. So I picked up that one. I also picked up Purgatory Ridge. Look at these covers are just beautiful. I mean, that is very spooky. And there's my Denver Post right there, a wonderful page turner. So I think I'm just going to collect the series. There's a few series that I read and collect, and I'll keep the books, like Elizabeth George's Inspector Lindley series. I'm working my way through those, and I'm keeping them. I think I'm going to do the same with William Kent Kruger. That's how much I've enjoyed the Cork O'Connor prequel. And then I got Blood Hollow. So I have books 1 through 4 now, thanks to that 3-for-2 sale. I won't, again, I'm not going to read every different scenario. You can guess what they would be about. He's investigating murders. So, let's see. And then this book had been on my, I've been thinking about trying to start up a new type of series on my channel, maybe called something I really ought to read, or, something like that, and kind of I ought to read, or something I can break down into an acronym. And usually it comes back down to classics of history, but also classics of literature. And I've seen so many booktubers talk about this book, and I'm like, I have never read it, And I've seen people's different paperback versions of it. And a lot of people have the Penguin Classics. And I was just really, I've always liked, and I've started collecting a lot of these Oxford World's Classics because I like the Oxford World Classics editions. They have, well, this one has an index, but it also has, oh, what do they do? They kind of, introduction. Yeah, they have an introduction, bibliography, chronology, explanatory notes, which are very helpful, and an index. And so I've seen everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people that are very well read and cultured. I'm trying to get there. Talk about James Boswell's Life of Johnson. And I wanted the Oxford World Classics edition, and I got it unabridged, baby. This one I actually bought through, I think, Barnes & Noble. And I had a coupon, and I brought it down to $24. But this is a $24 book. I mean, this thing is, woo! We're talking 50, almost 1,500 pages. I just sprayed my screen. So, but isn't this a nice version? It's a little bit dinged up down here, but that's okay because it's gonna get dinged up when I start reading it. But it's a chunkster. But it's definitely, sorry about that. You know, if the keyboard is right here and my hand just glances against a key, it stops the recording. So sorry about that. Anyway, what I was saying is I forgot what I was saying because that, oh, you damn keyboard. I have a nice collection of Oxford World Classics going. And I think in the new house, I definitely want to have them curated in a way where they're all together. They should be. Along with, like, say, my New York Review of Books, which are very distinct paperbacks, you know, with different colored spines, but similar type. And I'm really excited to see how I can display these books in a new setting. So stay tuned. There's more to come at the new digs. But anyway, Life of Johnson unabridged. I don't like abridged anything. You know, I don't like to think that I'm missing out on something. So yeah. So I finally picked that up. And then this was funny because a couple weeks ago, I'd say a couple weeks at least, Martine and I think it was on Peacock or one of those extra channels that you can stream, or was it Tubi? I don't remember. I think it might have been Peacock. But the remake of Stephen King's The Stand. And, you know, I've seen the original that was made back in, what, the 90s or something. And I thought it was okay. Here's the thing. I'd never read The Stand. My sister has read it multiple times. I had never read it just because I'm like, it is too much of a commitment. Martine has listened to the audiobook a couple times and she has really liked it. And I liked the remake of The Stand. I thought it was really interesting. Especially how a couple of the characters changed races. And I was just like, this is interesting. So I was like, you know what? I really need to check it out. And so I'm like, what edition should I buy? I found a really nice paperback, trade paperback by Anchor Books for like $9, I think. It was something really cheap. Unabridged. Complete and uncut. Actually, not unabridged. Complete and uncut. And so I picked up Stephen King's The Stand. As you can see, it has this cover. And it's big. But it was so cheap for this size. The type is not too small or anything like that. I like, and every chapter has like really neat. It has a nice little graphic border there. And then you can see like later on where the real long chapters are because right through here. I think Martine said, yeah, the town hall scene that I could have done without, you know, they could have, that might be it right here. Their council meeting where they talk about the bylaws for, like, she said 50 pages at least. I was like, okay, interesting. But anyway, so it was the remake of The Stand that made me interested in picking this up. I've read a lot of other Stephen King. I've read, it. I think it is the biggest book I've read by him. But this will supersede that, and so we'll see how much headway I can get. Martine's very excited for me to start reading this. She really, some novels stand out to her, and she kind of really gets into characters, and she wants to talk about it. She wants me to. We're going to talk about The Stand. So yeah, so those were some of the books I picked up via Amazon. One from Barnes and Noble. And I think that's all for that. Sorry, my video, I had to edit that in. I'm gonna throw these two in here real quick. These are not books, but these came in the mail. I mentioned in my magazine video that I just subscribed to Civil War Times, and I got my first issue. The Bloodiest Day, Antietam, latest research reveals new details of an iconic battlefield photo. Photographer Alexander Gardner misidentified these dead Union soldiers as members of the Irish Brigade. So that's something new. Look at that. I haven't had a Civil War Times magazine in forever. So I'm kind of excited to sit down with it. I just finished reading a historical fiction novel called Black Cloud Rising, and I'm writing a review of it for Book Browse, and I'll share that with you when it's available. But it was fantastic. So I've kind of been getting into my Civil War history. Well, I'm always into my Civil War history, but also reading historical fiction about it is a thrill. And then I got my next issue of military history. The Oops War. Was World War I necessary or just the result of Europe's epic blundering? So this is one of those magazines I'm not sure if I'm going to renew or not, because I have military heritage and military history matters. If anything, I might get the quarterly version of military history. But anyway, guys, so that's some of the some new books from my shopping trip, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Go Stafford, go Matt Stafford, go Rams, and wish you well for whatever team you're rooting for, except for the 49ers. I'm kidding. I really don't. Like I said, I don't have any allegiance to a California football team. I do not. Martine bought this for me because she knows how much I love Matt Stafford. And I do have a Detroit Lions jersey with his name on it too. So anyway, should be a fun day out there, guys. So I'm going to upload this real quick and on to the next video. We'll talk soon. Bye.